So thank you for both being here. I know you traveled all the way from Cincinnati for this, so appreciate the ideas, but also appreciate you being here. So I think we'll start with a bit of an introduction, because maybe not everybody knows who you are. So Kerry, do you want to start?
Okay, well, first off, it's an honor to be here, so I thank you, and I was glad to make the trip. But my name is Kerry Rowland, and I work at American Modern. I'm the manager of life safety and security for the company. Part of my responsibilities is really just the safety and security of the facility, and more important, the people that work there, as well as our visitors and any other guests that would be there, and along with developing strategically our policies and procedures. I've been with the company for 1.5 years, so I'm a relatively new employee.
So now we know who to thank for us feeling safe when we're at American Modern.
Exactly.
Yes, good, excellent. So Lou, how about you?
So my name's Louis Fischl. I've been with the company about 3.5 years. I'm a program manager in specialty markets, where I work with our program administrator and MGA clients, working on compliance oversight and operational efficiencies.
Great. So we have, if you haven't been out on ideas.munich recently, we have the top 25 ideas posted. Everybody can go and look at them. They're under the results tab. And those results were determined by a panel of 12 people, including a professor from Temple and a Stanford graduate, so not just internal folks, based on a set of criteria that we had developed. So all 25 are out there. They cut across every business unit, many corporate centers, so thank you all. These are two of the ideas that I'm really excited to hear about. So, maybe Lou, maybe we'll start with you. Can you explain a bit about what your idea is?
Sure. So the idea I'll first say that I was working as part of a team. So it's myself. It's also Bridget Rush, Lena Kogowski, Dawn Kagan, and Joan Kane. So we were all, shout out to the team if you guys are here. But our idea centers around wildfires and employing technologies, both current and future looking, to help in sort of the aid of prevention, early detection, and ongoing mitigation. So the way we kind of look at it is, today wildfires are very prevalent, certainly even today as we speak with the Southern California wildfires. We sort of see wildfires kind of come out of nowhere. They start, and then people get a call in the middle of the night, hey, you got to leave. So our idea is centered around how do we sort of get earlier detection, and that kind of, the ideas we had centered around that was placing sensors into forests or other brush-prone areas where wildfires are generated very easily, and having those sensors sort of linked up into a communication network that works with our local firefighters or works with other firefighting professionals, and also newer technologies to help deploy drones that can either suppress or sort of pick up on the detection of it, see where they are, see if they're moving, whatnot. So that coupled in with moving forward is if a wildfire starts to gain traction, employing other technologies, whether it's fire retardant gels, trenching around communities, sprinkler systems, brush remediation, sort of a plethora of ideas to make sure that if a wildfire does catch and does keep moving forward, we have ways to suppress it and prevent the loss of life, prevent the loss of property, and the devastation to the communities that we see year over year over year.
Fantastic. And so you worked with a team, you said,
yes,
for your idea. And so how did that team come together? Can you talk about that a little bit?
So our team, So basically, Specialty Markets the Specialty Markets Employee Engagement Group hosted a pizza luncheon, and nothing gets people together like a pizza luncheon.
That's right.
So free food, great motivator. So we all just happened to sit down at the wildfire table. I know personally, I sat down at the wildfire table because my best friend's parents' home burned down in Sonoma County earlier this year. So. It was certainly something relevant to me, and I really wanted to see what we could come up with, and if there was ways that we could sort of employ our collective ideas and experiences to come up with better ways to sort of work on our wildfire peril.
Okay, great, very good. Kerry, how about you? Can you talk about your idea and describe it a little bit?
Yes. I have a background in law enforcement, and as a result of that, I've done work with first responders as well as the Department of Homeland Security. And this year, really, with all the disasters that have happened around the country, it really struck me that the planning that the Department of Homeland Security came up with was something called all hazards planning. And it's really a way they had to mitigate because they realized they don't have the manpower or the capability to respond on their own to deal with all these issues. So what they do is they reach out to local, federal, state, and first responders, as well as nonprofit groups and private industry and volunteers. So whenever there's a disaster, they call in those people to respond and help them. And all that makes sense. And, while watching a lot of the coverage on the news when we had disasters this year, I realized and I thought, it was really heartwarming to see all these people helping all the other people in need. And I realized, that's what we do as a company. But then I thought, well, what about all those first responders and the volunteers and the people that own this critical infrastructure? Where's the safety net for them? Because they don't have a lot of protection. There are some gaps that I think that we can find in those areas. And I'll just give you a few examples that I thought of. For instance, there's a lot of specialized equipment that they bring to these situations, such as very expensive boats, helicopters, special vehicles, and a lot of these police departments and fire departments, they don't have the money to buy that originally. So what they have to do is they apply for grants, and those are usually one-time purchases for them where they have that equipment. Well, when they have that equipment, it may be underinsured and not, it's very important for them to be insured capably, so where if that device or that equipment is no longer functional, that it can be replaced. But along with that, too, I thought about, what about the volunteers that are in here? I might take some PTO time from American Modern to go help somewhere, and they're helping out, and suddenly I got injured, okay? And maybe I'm going to be off work for a while due to these injuries. Well, my health insurance might cover my injuries, but what about my lost wages? The Bureau of Workmen's Comp is not going to help me because this did not occur while I worked for American Modern, but when I was out volunteering to do something. So I thought that could be a gap there as well. But along with there's other issues as well. We think of private industry. Private industry, they want to open up their arms, they want to help people again, and if they see a need, they're usually there to help out. So what do? I'll give you an example of the Silverdome. They opened their doors after Katrina to house a lot of people. You have a lot of people that are in there, they're experiencing a lot of stress and duress. They're very emotional, and while they were housed there was crime that occurred, there were some rapes, there was robbery. So what about the company then? Are they covered by their insurance? Is there something that they would say, well, you have a duty of care when you take people in, but we insured you for what you normally work, what your purpose is, not for you taking additional people into your facility. So there's some examples that I can think of. And one other thing I want to mention, too, because I know that a number of people I know some friends of mine that actually responded to 9/11, and some of them are now experiencing some health problems due to the toxic chemicals that they were exposed to, and they're having trouble paying for this and coverage for this. So those are just some of the ideas that I came up with.
Can you talk a little bit about why you have such a passion, and maybe talk about your prior experience before American Modern, and maybe what helped you develop the idea?
Yes, I'm retired from Cincinnati Police Department. I work for them, so I had a lot of experience actually responding to emergencies that occurred. I was also in charge of our hostage negotiations unit, and as a result of that, I know that I was involved in a lot of situations which are very traumatic when you're involved in them, because if you're talking to someone and they take their own life or kill someone else, there's a lot of times that trauma. And those are things that also can happen to these first responders when they're out there helping out people as well, because they might be exposed to things they're not really used to happening. Mm-hmm. And so as a result of that, I thought it was important to be involved as well.
That's right. Very good. Thank you. So Lou, how about your experience? How did your experience prior to Munich Re help you come up with your idea or contribute to the idea?
So, I mean, in a prior role at another company, we actually dealt with an outside vendor called Wildfire Defense Systems. And they provided kind of similar to what our idea is on a much smaller scale. As a policyholder to the company I worked for, you had access to the fire retardant gel, or the firefighters, if they knew something was coming, they'd come out and provide the service for your house. But if the rest of your neighborhood burns down, or the rest of your community burns down, then that's not really helping a lot of people. So we kind of took the ideas that we had in the past, and sort of we all took our collective experiences and said, well, hey, how do we match that up to moving forward? What kind of technologies exist today that aren't being employed, and how can we kind of grow that idea? And that's sort of kind of how we've ended up where we are today.
Very good. So I know yesterday there was a session to develop the ideas further with Wendy Bukowitz and her team. Can you just talk about your reaction to how that felt going through the ideation process beyond the original idea?
Well, to me, it was very interesting because I came up with the easy part, coming up with an idea. I have a lot of ideas, but
we want more of them.
Exactly. What I found out yesterday, well, how do you make this idea practical? Is it something that you can really use? Is it something that you can really develop a product with? And that's what I really learned a lot yesterday. We were putting through a pretty rigorous afternoon. I was a little surprised on how much was expected of us and the work that we did. I realized I'm not here on vacation for these 2 days.
That's right.
So it was very, very intense, but it was very eye-opening as well, because I really learned a lot on how the company does about developing these ideas. And I'm very impressed with the whole process.
And I think, kind of building on what you just said, Kerry, the background and all the back work that was done to sort of put that process together is simply amazing. So I know kudos to everybody that was involved, your team, and then the rest of the organization that's sort of brought that all to the forefront to allow people like Kerry or myself to have an idea and see it move forward into something bigger. We don't deal with this on a daily basis, but sort of giving us the power to move forward it's great.
So would you submit another idea in the next idea, Ken?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, okay, good. That's what I wanted to hear. Okay, good. Well, I think we have to wrap up. I know we're out of time. So thank you both for being here, and thank you to everybody who contributed to the idea campaign. Even if your idea didn't show up in the top 25, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint, and this is about developing a way of working differently together, collaboratively. There will be more idea campaigns, and we're just in our infancy. This builds upon itself, and so I just want to really thank everybody, and thank you both for being here. I'm going to turn it back over to Tony to wrap up.